Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman World 5. In the last part, we defeated the first 4 Stardroids after they invaded the Earth, and now we're heading deeper into the solar system to take on the rest. Though, wow, it takes a lot to get into space. Well, no, that didn't take too much at all. I'd like to note that what should technically take Mega Man like 4 years only takes us about 30 seconds. Either way, here are the second 4. And they're more or less the same kind of difficulty that the other 4 were. But we are starting off with my preferred first choice out of these 4, Jupiter. Who, if you couldn't tell by the little flames you just have inside, is a flyer. Now, Jupiter, as soon as I find his bio, can fly in the air with a jet engine. His electric shock can electrocute enemies. Good point, has speed mania. Bad point, has flighty behavior. What? Likes acrobatic flight and dislikes air turbulence. What on earth? I don't care. I've learned to stop asking questions. Either way, his stage's main gimmick is that whenever you're outside like this, you actually have half gravity. Well, not half gravity, but it's like an outer space level. It's like Gravity Man stage from Mega Man. No, that was Starman stage from Mega Man 5. And honestly, it's pretty fun. Most of the enemies in this stage are things that you'll see a lot throughout the second half of the game, like these Electric Joe guys. I don't know what they're supposed to be. They're like the Sniper. This game's Sniper Joes, more or less, honestly. And then you got these guys that shoot shockwaves out at you. But a lot of the enemies here are pretty basic. Whenever you're inside, you have normal gravity, which, you know, doesn't make sense much at all, but I'll still take it. These guys are weird, though. I'm not sure if their attacks are proximity-based or just random, because usually they just do that shock attack, but sometimes they'll actually do the little floor shockwave thing. Getting used to seeing these guys, by the way, because they're in the rest of this part. Oh, and yeah, you might notice this part's almost an hour long. I could have made it 2, but I decided not to. Up there in the top right, you'll actually notice there's a slightly different looking block. We can actually destroy that with another Robot Master weapon, but we don't have that until much later. Well, not much later, just until later. Though you probably noticed it by now, all of the Stardroids are actually named after planets. We had Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter last time. Not last. Yeah, actually, yeah, last time. But now we have not Jupiter. Who was the other one? Neptune. But now we actually have Jupiter, Pluto, because this was back when Pluto was a planet, which it still is to me, damn it. It'll always be a planet to me. Though I understand why it's not. So I heard it was actually reclassified due to, like, cultural significance or something. And the other 2 are Saturn and Uranus. Sorry. No, I'm not going to make those jokes. And if you're wondering where Earth is and all that, well, that's Terra. Terra is, I think, Latin for Earth. So yeah, nice little fun fact there for you. Either way, now that we have the magnet hand, we can get a lot of items that are hidden behind walls. The blocks that are blocking this, you won't be able to get until you get Uranus's weapon. But thankfully, I have other ways around it. And now for the rest of the stage, we got this little annoying gimmick. Ice floors. Welcome to this game's ice stage as well. I don't like it. No, sir, I don't like it at all. Once you get Magnet Hand, you'll actually find more often than not when you're killing things with the Mega Hand, you'll end up getting, like, P-chips dragged towards you, which is really good, honestly, because then they won't get... They often will fall into pits, then. They're gonna notice, a lot of the stages in this game actually share enemies, and I don't know why that is. Well, mind you, it makes sense because these are all one force, the Stardroids, but still. But yeah, Jupiter stage, not too bad. I forget how much longer we're here for, though. Either way, let's head up here. There are 2 paths you can take there. To the right. You can head to the right, or you can head up here. Which I want to do to grab this E-Tank and that extra life. Why? Because lives are good. That's pretty self-explanatory. But I'm feeling like dropping down. Why? Because after you do that, the entrance down here changes to be a fall instead of going right. Also a hug left. And now that we've done that, we can head on down to this screen and head left to find a jewel. The oval jewel, to be more precise. We'll find out what those are for after beating Jupiter. Also, there's some P-chips here. Thankfully, though, once you're here, the boss is not much farther. I think it's only like 2 rooms, if even. Oh, yeah, you do have to slide underneath those not Sniper Joe, Electric Joe attacks, so watch out for that, but get used to doing that, because you'll be seeing them throughout the rest of the game, as stated before. Come on, there we go. And now it's time for Jupiter. He is weak to the bubble bomb, so get that out. And the way Jupiter works is that he'll start the fight off by flying into the air. And he'll try to get above you, in which case he'll use his electric shock attack, which is pretty much just an electric beam aimed directly at the ground. Besides that, he'll do occasional sweeps of the lower parts of the screen. And he also has that little 4-pellet attack. And that's about it. He's actually a very pattern-based boss. While he's doing the electric shock, he's completely invulnerable, but honestly, he's pretty easy. I have seen much harder Megaman bosses. Like the design, though. That's pretty cool. Though, actually, I should mention, technically speaking, I could have played this game in a way that's not... Well, I could have played all the games, technically, like this, in a way that's not black and white using the Game Boy Color. However, Mega Man World 5, if you notice by the thumbnail, where I used the American box art, was also a Super Game Boy game. Meaning you can plug this into your Super Nintendo and actually get a pretty decent color palette. I didn't do that because I didn't think to, but you can. Anyway, for beating Jupiter, we get his electric shock attack. I think it's outright called electric shock, but I'm probably wrong about that. And it's the closest thing this game has to a melee weapon. Mega Man shoots electricity out of his palm about 2 feet in front of him. I forget if you can move while using it. I don't think you can. But it's alright, I suppose. I think it's pretty powerful. Oh, yeah, electric shock. Huh. But either way... Oh, hello. Dr. Light, I found this crystal on the planet. You better analyze it. Let me see. Well, this crystal seems to be the energy source used by that planet's ancient civilization. With 4 of these, I can make an item that will reduce the energy consumption of your special weapons by half. I assume there are similar crystals like this on other planets, too. Collect all 4 crystals and bring them back to the lab. Good luck. So yeah, it's a bit of a little sub-quest you can do. Throughout all 4 of these stages, there is a crystal hidden. Though there's a bit of a stupid game design choice that I absolutely hate regarding them later on. But either way, time for the next Stardroid, Saturn. I bet you couldn't see that one coming. Saturn, with the weapon called Black Hole, can draw objects towards himself. Good point, he's fickle-minded. Bad point, low allowance. What? Likes hula hoops and dislikes video games. As a man named Saturn, that is wrong, sir. Segata Sanshiro shall rob you from the grave. That was the wrong word, but I don't care. Make you is rolling in his grave. There we go. Either way, if you couldn't tell, his stage is a gravity gimmick. When you're on the parts of the stage that have the 0.5 in the background, gravity is halved. When you're in front of it, the ones that have 2 in the back, 2x gravity, gravity is doubled. And that enemy I just killed there is pretty interesting. He'll actually slow down time, weirdly enough. Either way, don't fall down that pit. Instead, use Rush Kill to jump over it, so we can get, the hexag, I think that's, no, that was octagonal jewel, which is the second one. Honestly, this stage is pretty easy. In fact, there's actually a lot of P-chips here you can grab with the Mega Hand, so that's pretty good. But the big thing with this stage is that they actually start using the gravity gimmicks with enemies, like that hammer enemy I just killed there. In points where it is with the like the 0.5 gravity, the rocks that it causes to fall out of the ground will also be halved to gravity. If that made grammatical sense, I highly doubt it did, because grammar is my main weakness. Sounds like this. I'm glad I have Magnet Hand. Magnet Hand does actually break a lot of sequence stuff, because you're not supposed to be able to get a lot of these jewels until you have Uranus's weapon. But because I have the Magnet Hand, I can just grab it right out. Which, you know, I like. Either way, a lot of the gravity gimmick stuff here is pretty basic. You're either over pits or below spikes. Though, whenever you have half gravity beneath spikes, I tend to flinch a little bit. Because when you hold down the jump button, I believe you can actually reach the very top, so you have to just barely touch it. But it gets really nerve-wracking to me later on. I think you actually almost see me if you look nervous in the gameplay, so we'll see about that. Ow. Not the most original gimmick, though, because more or less, what's his name? Gravity Man had a very similar gimmick. It's just the fact that gravity switched instead of halved. And there was a fan game out there by the name of Megaman Super Fighting Robot, I believe, which had a stage very similar to this. Mind you, that came out after this, but still, I tend to think of that more because I've played that more often. That was a really interesting fan game because it had some really cool optional bosses, like the Red Mage from Final Fantasy I, Shovel Knight. My favorite's probably Simon Belmont, but there's some really cool stuff in that one. Part of me's actually been tempted to do the Mega Man fan games, like Mega Man Unlimited and such, but I'm not sure about that. I still have to think on that more. I do want to do Street Fighter Cross Mega Man at some point, because that was at least officially sanctioned by Capcom to some extent, though that game's backstory is one interesting one. But yeah, that's something I still have yet to decide on. Either way, we're already at Jupiter, Saturn, rather. His stage is honestly pretty short, all things considered. Either way, he is weak against Jupiter's electric shock, so get that out. And Saturn likes to jump from side to side in the room, slide actually from side to side in the room, throwing his hoop up in a fashion. He also has his black hole attack, which will suck you towards it, but honestly, as you can see, electric shock destroys him. Completely. He should rarely ever get a chance to do anything if you use electric shock correctly, so yeah. But for beating him, we get his black hole attack. The way it works is kind of similar to the black hole bomb from Mega Man 9. You shoot it, and it'll kill most small enemies instantly. In fact, some enemies are outright dragged towards it. But after the black hole fades, it sends out 4 energy shots in a rotating fashion around it that we'll see Mega Man do in a minute, which is useful for dealing with some larger foes. There's the little 4 pieces. Hopefully you can see those with YouTube's compression, even though now that you can do 60 frames, you can technically fix that. I believe. But we also get Rush Jet. I never actually... Well, actually, no, I do use it, but I don't use it much in this game. I believe it's still Mega Man World 3 nerfed that you can't control its up and down directional moves. Either way, because I have 150 plus P-chips, time to get that energy equalizer. With this item, the weapon with the least amount of energy will be refilled automatically when you pick up a weapon capsule. This is a really good weapon, a really good item to have, especially in the later parts of the game. Because once we head to the final level, you're there until you beat the game. So having this to automatically refill your energy so you don't have to switch it on and off is really good. Mind you, in this section of the game, it pulls on Mega Man World 4 that in the moment you're in the second Robot Master half, you can no longer replenish energy in between stages. You have to either buy the energy refill from Light or find capsules in the stages, which is a gimmick I don't find myself too fond of. Either way, next Stardroid, as you saw, is Pluto. Pluto is a battle robot designed for jungle combat. Slashman is designed after him. Good point, has good reflexes. Bad point, the cold. Likes manicures and dislikes nail damage. I do recall at one point or another as well that they outright state his dislike for Mercury, which is actually his weakness. He's weak against the Grab Buster. Randomly enough. Oh, I should mention, the black hole that we got from Saturn is also the weakness of Mercury. Yeah, weirdly enough, you don't get 2 of the Stardroids' weakness until after the first 4 Robot Master Stardroids, so that's a bit odd. Yeah, I'll take it either way. Either way, this stage actually has too many bosses against this drill guy. He does have a bit of a delay from when he's going to show up, so whenever you see the rocks immediately, don't immediately shoot. Wait until his eyes show up. He goes down in 2 to 3 Mega Hands, though. Either way, you might not have noticed there was a Uranus rock I just walked over at the very start of that last room, and it was over a ladder. The jewel for this stage is down there. However, Mega Man World 5 pulls a really stupid design decision in my eyes by having the last 2 jewels, at least in my route, require their next robot's weapon. So if you went to Uranus' stage, you would need Pluto's weapon. If you went to Pluto's stage, you need Uranus' weapon. Feasibly speaking, I guess you could start with Uranus or something, but that means you still have to redo a stage at one point or another, and I'm not a fan of that design mentality. Mind you, at least you can revisit stages in this game, but say if it was like Mega Man 5 where you had to get the letters, that could be very annoying if you needed another robot's weapon. Because you can't revisit stages in Mega Man 5, if I recall, so that's really stupid. Either way, Pluto's stage is actually very generic mine-based. The main gimmick is those falling platforms. They'll fall either whenever you're above or below them. If you're below them, though, they do damage, so watch out for that. But honestly, it's a pretty vanilla stage beyond that. As long as you're sliding, you should rarely ever get touched by them, too. They're gonna want to hurry up here so you can get these P-chips. Mind you, at this point, the only thing you really need to buy with P-chips are possibly extra lives, or sub-tank, or E-tanks, weapon tanks, whatever kind of tanks you want to use, really. Mind you, I never need weapons tanks in these games, because they usually give me more than enough weapon energy in the actual stages, but still. It's there if you need it. And time for us to fight that mini-boss again, only I think he has a bit more health this time. I'm honestly not entirely sure. Also, you know what really annoys me about the Mega Man and base bios for the Robot Master, for the Stardroids in this game? They're not in order. First is Terra, then Mercury, then Venus, then Mars. Terra should be between Mars and Venus. Oh, hey, Proto Man. He actually gives you a random item. It can be either a weapon energy, a life energy, or an S refill. An S refill is a complete and total restore to your weapons and life energy. And I think it even gives you an extra life. Sadly, he never gave me one off-screen, but when I was replaying the stage off-screen to get the jewels, he did give me one. Oh yeah, because that's the thing. Either way, before I even start, time for Pluto. Pluto, as I mentioned before, is weak against the Grab Buster. 7 shots of it will take him out. But Pluto is actually a really fun boss fight. He fires a few of these little energies, and then he actually rushes it along the ground, and then does a Mega Man X1 Sigma jump up to one of the corners, where he follows these missiles that track you. It looks random, but it's actually a very simple pattern, and if you keep on the Grab Buster Rapid Fire, he'll basically never touch you, or in terms of HP, because he'll be replenishing it so quickly. But for beating him, we get his weapon, which is a bit unorthodox. I think it's called the Break Dash. The way it works is that when you equip it, you don't fire it by pressing B. You have to charge up your shot, then fire to do it. What happens is that Mega Man dashes forward and can break through certain walls. It does decent damage towards normal enemies, but against the next boss, Uranus, it's practically useless. I'm not a big fan of it. Though it does kind of remind me of the what were they called? Knuckle Dusters? No, Dust Knuckles, or whatever they were in Shovel Knight. Break Dash, yeah. Not too useful in my eyes, but it looks cool, I'll give it that. It also kind of reminds me of the, birdie chips from the... No, fishy chips from the Battle Network series. Either way, time for the final Stardroid, time for Uranus. Uranus, with a weapon called Deep Digger, he can lift blocks and throw them at enemies. Good point, bull. Yeah, he looks like a bull, but anything else? Bad point, Beastie. What? Wasn't Beasties the name of the, what was it called? Beast Wars Transformers cartoon in Canada or something? Runs too fast. What? It dislikes matadors. Okay, that one makes sense, but what is with some of these dialogues, I swear? And I have checked them, a lot of them are accurate, so what's going on there? Either way, Uranus' stage is oddly Egypt-themed, because apparently each one of these planets had a civilization on them, which makes no sense in some of these cases, because a lot of these are gas giants, which would not be able to support life very well. But either way, the way this mini-boss works is that you're technically supposed to jump on the rock it shoots out from beneath it to hit it in the face, but if you place a shot just right, you can get a mega hand in onto the chin. It is not a very hard mini-boss, and we face it twice in this stage, so I kind of question why. After killing it, you might wonder where to go, but the spikes do disappear after a moment. But the main gimmick of Uranus' stage is that little rotating platform you see there. Similarly to other games with rotating platforms, the longer you're on them, the farther down you sink until you fall off. You fall off about halfway through them, so watch out for that. And random birds. Okay, I don't get that, but I'll take it. And weirdly enough, the stage also has a bit of a Mega Man 3 NES Wily Castle feel to it, because it has a few of these sections where platforms move in from the left and right. Which, if you recall, in Mega Man 3, there was sections like that in the Mega Man 3 castle. What I'm showing off here is that the Eddie trick still works in this game. If you can climb back down or up the screen before you grab Eddie's item, he will respawn with a different one. I think this is the only one you can really do it in, though. So that's kind of sad, but oh well, at least I can still kind of do it. And random seal. You know, I have a feeling the Stardroids just randomly grabbed robots, mechanoids, and be like, "You're with me." They were like, "Okay," because some of these enemies make no sense. Either way, the blocks up there on the top right are actually the blocks that Break Dash can break, so we should probably go break those as soon as I take care of this walrus seal thing. Use Rush Girl to get up there, and let's see what we got. Charge it up. Whee! And there's a jewel, and it looks like a rupee from The Legend of Zelda. But yeah, that's what I mean. You need Break Dash to get Uranus' jewel, but you need Uranus' what was it called? Deep Digger in order to grab Pluto's jewel. I don't like that. I don't like that design choice at all. But, at least it's a minor trip, and I don't have to go through like 6 stages over again. And now we're just back outside. I don't even think you have the low gravity gimmick this time around, which, mind you, makes sense because Uranus looks big, so we would have high gravity. Which is odd, because you think Jupiter would be the... Well, actually, no, Jupiter did have the gravity gimmick, didn't it? Yeah, that makes sense, actually, because it's the largest planet in the solar system. And yeah, the stage is more or less vanilla after all that. Not much to talk about. There was no way out of that for me. After that, I have no idea how you get that E-Tank, by the way. Because you can't summon Rush Coil within that small of a space, so how are you supposed to get that E-Tank? Unless you're just supposed to summon, like, Rush Jet and then jump on it. I don't know. Anyway, this phase, I don't think you could easily Mega Arm his chin, so you actually have to jump on him this time around. But thankfully, this mini-boss is still pathetically easy. Though looking at it, actually, it does remind me of the DuckTales games. Which, you know, makes sense because DuckTales 1 and 2 on the NES were made by Capcom. In fact, I think DuckTales 1 uses the Mega Man 1 engine, albeit slightly altered. So that makes some amount of sense, I suppose. I hate this monkey. I hate this monkey. I hate this monkey. I really hate those monkeys. If there's anything I can give the Mega Arm, though, is that despite its looks, it actually does have a great amount of reach to it. It goes around maybe 3/4 across the screen, which is really good. And here we are at Uranus. Uranus is weak against the Break Dash, yes, but it's pretty unorthodox to use him, because first off, similarly to the Charge Kick from Mega Man World 4 and 5, and Mega Man Classic 5, there's a chance you'll accidentally be in the enemy's hitbox after using it so you can take damage. And secondly, he likes to throw blocks at you, and those gaps will interrupt the Break Dash, so it's better to just use your Mega Arm and Mega Buster against Uranus. In fact, don't even charge it up, just rapid fire. It'll generally do a lot of damage pretty quickly. Though, like as his size would show, Uranus hurts. No, I'm very glad I'm pronouncing it Uranus and not something else, because that would have been very bad. That's my face. Honestly, though, not too bad of a Stardroid. He goes down with enough effort. And for beating him, we get that Deep Digger ability, which allows us to pick up blocks like the one on the ground and throw them. And when they hit a wall, they actually blow backwards in 3 smaller pieces. And now that we've actually beaten all 4 of the other Stardroids, Terra once again shows up in the middle, but I need to go back to Pluto's stage so I can get that other jewel. It's right after the first drill mini-boss. But before we actually go face off with Terra, let's talk about his Megaman and base bio. As his body is made from extraterrestrial materials, general weapons don't hurt him. Good point, hard nose. What? Bad point, he's really nervous. Likes shampoo, I mean you have to tame that mane somehow. And dislikes hats and or helmets. Weird. Anyway, before we actually go into the other stage, I do want to, back into Pluto, I do actually want to buy an S-Tank because we're coming up on the end of the game. If it's not obvious by the 30 minutes left in this part. Yeah, the last stages are really long once again. Either way, let's head back into Pluto's stage, right after the first drill mini-boss. You may have noticed this block. Now that we have the Deep Digger, we can pick it up. And now we can head down here to get the jewel. And that's about it, really. One thing I didn't realize until maybe 2 years ago is that there's a ladder right here. I used to have to fall down that pit to get the Chaos Emerald Jewel, apparently. But now that we have that, I actually have to beat the stage off screen in order to get back to make sure I kept it. But let's head back to Light with it. To get the item you need to get for all 4 jewels, you actually have to head back to the shop and then scroll left. And there it is. This power generator was made from the 4 crystals you brought back. The power generator will reduce the amount of energy your special weapons use by half. No P-chips are required for this item, only the crystals. Do I want it? Yes! Oh my god, yes! And with that, I'm now done making purchases. So let's head after Terra. Who was weirdly enough on a 5th planet. What is that supposed to be like? Well, no, there are 5 planets out there, I suppose, aren't there? Yeah. Well, 4 now, but yeah. I finally destroyed all the space stations. Where are you, Terra? There you are. You fool, Megaman. You have meddled with my plan for the last time. We could have created a new world for all robots. How can I face my master now? I must redeem myself by blowing you to pieces. Terra is weak against the Deep Digger. The way he works is that he'll constantly teleport from the left, well, actually just across the stage randomly, after firing his little, something chaser. It's like Star Chaser or something weapon. And the way it works is that it'll follow you for about 3 or 4 intersections. He can also freeze time temporarily as well. Honestly, as long as you keep throwing the rocks at him with decent aim, he'll go down really quickly, but I was, for some reason, not feeling the aiming game tonight when I was recording this. But still, there's more than enough blocks to kill him with, and I think you can also use, like, the electric shock to take him down with pretty decent damage, too. And there he goes! Main antagonist out of the way. But then again, he did mention a master, didn't he? Oh, well. But for beating him, we actually get that laser. And the way it works is that you fire it, and it'll more or less home in on enemies and attack them at least 2 or 3 times by bouncing back and forth. I actually forget the name of it. It's something Chaser. I think it's Star Chaser? That sounds about right. Spark Chaser. Okay, I was close. But yeah, that's a pretty useful weapon. Either way, that's all the Stardroids taken care of. What next? I should have defeated all the Stardroids. What the? What? What's that star? That's no star. Wait, it's moving. No! It can't be! Wily? How did you... Oh god, you're ripping off not only Star Wars, but Eggman too. Is he behind this? Uh-oh. Is he behind this? Oops. That was close. Getting odd Force Awakens flashbacks, actually. Hit the jets, Rush. Let's go. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last string of levels in the game. It's technically 2 levels, but it's actually, well no, it's technically 1 level, but it's portrayed as 2. First off is a random-ass Gradius section. The first part of it is just you dodging meteors. They're all really slow. They do a decent damage, if I believe. No, if I recall correctly, rather. But they shouldn't be what kill you. After about a minute of this, we start getting these weird little... I have no idea what the hell to describe them as. Little guys. They're pretty beefy guys. They take over a charge shot to kill. Which is a bit much for a section like this, because there'll be like 3 or 4 of these guys, depending if you don't destroy them fast enough. And you don't want that to happen. Unless there's only 2 at a time. I've actually never checked how many can be on screen at once. Either way, it gets annoying. And they do a decent amount of damage from touch damage too. 2 units. Which in a game where I think the max is like 20? That's a bit too much. I'm actually not sure what the max amount of HP is. I actually haven't counted it. It looks like it'd be about 20. Either after enough of them, this happens. You speed up, and lasers. They go high, low, high, low, high, I believe. You don't want to touch them. Why? That did about half my health. So now I'm at the boss of this section of the stage with 1 health point. This goes surprisingly well. The way this boss works is that you can only damage the cannon, but only after it fires a laser. And it'll often just, and when it's after it fires a laser, or when it's even firing a laser, it'll be constantly floating up and down. When it floats down, it shoots 4 missiles at you, pretty easy to deflect. When it floats back up, its attack is 4 pellets that are aimed at you, but are easily dodged. This is actually a surprisingly easy little Death Star Killer based thing. Though Mega Man's tiny sprite is really derpy. Also, I just realized they kept the detail that Brush's mouth opens when you fire. Huh. Obviously, don't touch the laser because it still hurts like nothing else. So, don't do that. But what I'm really excited about is this stage in general, because this is actually a really cool final stage after this. Why? We fight a good number of bosses, and let's just say they're familiar. Either after we destroy that, we head on inside. I know there's not suction for this, but I won't nitpick too much. Either way, let's see what we got in here. Alright, and hey, they actually look like Sniper Joes now. See, that was the reason I called them that. And this is more or less just a lot of enemies we've seen before. This entire stage is more or less filled with enemies from the rest of the game, really. So it's kind of anticlimactic, but I've seen worse. And throughout the stage, there's actually a lot of sections where you have to jump down and do some stuff, but usually there's actually a shortcut you can take if you know how to use Deep Digger or Brake Rush effectively. And now I'm feeling a bit more comfortable. 3 energy is a lot more than 1. In fact, it's 300% of 1. Either way, what we got over here? Oh, hey, more of the crabs. Nice to see them. What the anchor? Random time to immortalize them, Wily. I mean, mind you, did that to Gutsman back in Mega Man 1, but what's with immortalizing Anchor, huh? He was actually kind of the wimpiest out of all the Mega Man killers. Mind you, he's probably the coolest looking design, but still, kind of odd. Well, no, my favorite design's Punk, but this is this is my second favorite, or at least tied for first, depending on how much I like Punk. I'm surprised they actually never brought Anchor back in anything, actually. Beyond Mega Man 10. Like, I would love to see this guy in Battle Network. Either way, the big twist of the final stage in the Mega Man World Series is that they bring back all the Mega Man killers, and they fight exactly like they did in Mega Man's Worlds 1 through 4, albeit a bit dumbed down. Anchor works exactly the same, though. He constantly raises his sword in the air, which will attract your buster pellets, though you'll still do damage to him, and the more he absorbs, up to, I believe, 4 or 5 this time around, the more powerful his attack becomes. However, beyond that, he only walks across the stage or jumps over you. Really easy. Heck, I no-hitted him, which is glorious. After that, we actually want to use Rush Jet, actually, and hug the right. Very often after one of these fights, you get one of these little vertical falling segments. And usually along the left or right are some bonuses, like in this case, we got Proto Man. What you got for me, brother? I hate you. I hate you so much. First Steady, now Proto Man. Great. I really do hate it when they give me nothing but weapon energy, though. I mean, some cases that can be useful, but I'd rather have, like, an extra life or health or a thing that could refail everything. Thankfully, there is an extra life over here always, so I don't feel too bad, but still. I'm a salty. Either way, coming up down here, well, first off, don't hug to the left whenever you're at the bottom one of these, is Quint. We have to, like I said, we have to refight them all. Though one thing I forgot to mention about Quint back in Mega Man World 2 is that he's not the only character to have that kind of design in the series. On the Bandai WonderSwan, Bandai, under Capcom's licensing, published a Mega Man game by the name of Mega Man and Base Challenger from the Future, a Mega Man and Base 2 more or less. And the main villain of that was a character named Rockman Shadow, who looked very much like Quint, who, by the way, fights the exact same way. He gets on Sakugane and jumps all over, causing rubble to fly. He's pathetically easy. And they actually lampshade the fact that it looks like Quint in that game. When you play the game as Mega Man, Rockman Shadow goes like, Quint was another robot from the future underneath the Rockman line or something. I forget exactly what. But, yeah. It's kind of cool there. I really should try out Mega Man and Base Challenger from the future. It looks like it's derpy, but it probably can play well, maybe. I know there's no invincibility frames for the bosses, which makes them really quick to take down. Hug the left this time around, by the way. And if you've figured out the pattern by now, coming up here is another fight against Punk, who has sadly been made a bit easier, because he's a lot slower. His overall pattern is still the same, though. You can slide underneath his high charges and jump over the low ones. And he throws about the exact same amount of Punk screws. One thing with the Mega Man killers this time around, though, like in Mega Man World 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can only damage them with the chart, with the Mega Buster and the Mega Arm. Also, if you go this route, there is an energy tank and an energy pellet, but I don't need any of them because I maxed out more or less on both. Alright, now we're coming up on Punk. No, I kind of wish Mega Man had dialogue for them showing up again, especially Ballad, because they actually showed him talking to Ballad back in Mega Man World 4, but oh well. Either way, as I stated, Punk is more or less the exact same as he was. But they're all more or less... I would actually classify Punk and Ballad as being a bit easier in this version. Kind of disappointing, because like I said back in Mega Man Worlds 1 through 4, some of the highlights were the fights against the Mega Man killers. They were the exclusive robots, the really fun boss fights you can only do with the Mega Buster, but in this game's case, they're kind of lackluster because the entire game is a bit unique. Poor Punk. I'd say I'd see him again, but we've already played Mega Man Battle Network 3, and I'm not replaying any of those anytime soon because that's like 20 plus parts. Also, hug the center here, otherwise you're going to get spiked in the face, and that's never fun. And, of course, last up is Ballad. When we fight Ballad, actually, first off, it's based off the first Ballad fight from Mega Man World 4, the one in the tank, where he interrupts us from chasing Wily, not the second one where he has sunglasses. So that means he's just mostly running and jumping, occasionally throwing Ballad crackers, though the Ballad crackers themselves actually behave like the second fights, where they go far enough and then they just explode. So it's kind of, I guess, a mixture of the two fights, but it's overall much easier because he takes more damage. Gotta say, though, I still love his design. Mind you, maybe it's because they were the only unique characters until Mega Man World 5, but the Mega Man killers overall, Quint aside, have really good designs. Just be careful, though, because he can do a lot of damage to you still. Fittingly enough, he did the most damage to me like he did in Mega Man World 4. And there's some items to the left and right here, but I actually forget what's in them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another Proto Man, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't as well. Yeah, not worth my time, though. We are coming up on something pretty major. If you're familiar with Megaman games, you know what's coming up here. It's time for this game's boss rush, which, as usual, sped up, playing music. Jimmy, hit that funkin' music as soon as I go in the pod. There we go. Hit it! And that was a rock and roll remix of the Doomsday Zone from Sonic 3 Knuckles from the fan album, The Project Chaos. Really good album, actually. Some really good piano remixes in there as well. I recommend you look that up if you ever have the chance, because it's a really good album. And we're right before the final boss, so they give us a lot of energy and 2 energy tanks. A bit overkill, honestly. But I'm still going to use a lot of that because it's time for the final boss. Alright, Wily, let's see what you got this time. Oh no, you got Proto Man again? Alright, let's go. Oh, you're just gonna give me one of those S refills. That's the thing I mentioned that gives you everything plus some extra life. Yeah, we're not fighting Proto Man, he's just opening the way somehow. How does he do that, by the way? Now it's time for the true final boss. What we got? Gotta hand it to Wily, that's a new one. This first phase here, I forget what their names are, I'm getting it up right now. You can only damage it when the eyes of the fist are available and they're open. A good Mega Arm will maybe do about 1/4 of its health. My best strategy is to actually stay still for a bit before moving so I can actually get him in a good location. It's honestly not that hard of a fight, though. Let's see, these things, well, first off, there's gotta be 2 of them, obviously. Left knuckle and right knuckle. This is L knuckle. Pretty easy, though, because all it does is this charge attack, which does a good amount of damage, but still fairly easy. Though I'll admit, in the left and right knuckle fights here, I end up taking a lot of damage because I'm being really stupid and being reckless. Alright, 1 down, another to go. If it would explode. There we go. And immediately we got right knuckle, who is more or less the same boss fight, honestly. Little difference is that when he punches the ground, he'll go into a little... I don't even know how to describe the finger pose, you'll see it. Where he can pick you up and then slam you into the ground. He also, when he does that finger motion, shoots out a missile, which tracks you around for a little bit. I believe their technical weakness isn't actually Mega Arm. I believe it's Salt Water, but it does, I think, the exact same amount of damage, so might as well use the one that's not infinite, the one that's infinite. Grab Buster is also fairly effective on them because it does 2 damage as opposed to 1. Yeah. Not too hard, though. This one is a bit more annoying because he moves faster, but beyond that, and me just being really stupid with my movements. This phase of the fight, not too hard. Oh god, E-Tank, 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 E-Tank. There we go. I do believe you can struggle out of that grip there, but still, I was just being too safe. Ah, really? 1 HP. Ah. I could have maybe used Spark Chaser there to hit him, but I'm not entirely sure. And that's the first phase of the fight done. Well, technically the second, but it's the overall first because you're fighting left and right. Next up is the, as soon as it shows up, Brain Crusher. This is a really annoying fight. It always has this set pattern. Fires 3 missiles at you, which track your position. Fires at this guy, which will make the gravity pull you up into the spikes, which I don't think kill you, they just do damage. And then he'll fire out a timer bomb, which you need to have next to him. That's how you do damage to the machine. However, the annoying thing isn't the missiles or the guy that drags you up, it's the clock itself. Because the thing is, the clock, despite its timer, actually can blow up before that if it touches you. And after, I think, the second one, he throws out ones that have, like, 3, 7, and 5 as well as timers. So you have to start dodging around them and such, and it's really annoying, and I can barely handle them if they're not a 1-timer. I don't know why, I can just barely predict their movements. Don't feel ashamed to use E-Tanks here, I always end up having to use at least 1 or 2. So, don't worry. Oh god, a 7, I hate 7s. Some people probably find this fight really easy, and in terms of concept, it really is, but I've always had some amount of issue with it. Oh god, stay away from me. You know, I do have to wonder though, if it explodes on you, but you're right next to Wily, does it count as damaging him? I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, like it actually has to be like time running out, but that'd be cool if you could damage yourself and him at the same time. This fight also takes a good while, too, if you aren't doing it, like, perfectly, so... Eh. Oh, that's an annoying thing. Even if you're in invincibility frames, they'll do damage to you. Also, I think touching the Brain Crusher itself does a lot of damage. Yeah, that looks like it does a lot of damage. This is, I think, how you're supposed to handle these other ones, just by shooting them when they're jumping. Yeah, that looks like it was about right. I'm just being... I've never been good at moving around enemies like that. Though I'm getting really good at using that grapple hand, apparently. And that's the end of that. First half. Phase 2 of the Brain Crusher, I believe, is only weak against either the Spark Chaser, because of how he's always there, or the Mega Hand. The way this fight works is that he's constantly firing shockwaves out at you, at either groups of 1 or 2. But you have to jump low here because the ceiling is spikes. They're not instant kill spikes, they do only about 3 or 5 damage. But still, you don't want to get too many hits. Actually, no, it's only like 2. You do more damage to him than you do to yourself more often than not, though, so this fight is really easy. Alright, Wily, what you got next? Yeah, you run away. And let's give chase. What's going on here, Wily?
Behold, Megaman! I have awakened the ancient weapon Sunstar! Its nova weapon will destroy you.
Another Stardroid? Who looks somewhat like Fireman. Okay, then.
Sunstar! Destroy Megaman!
By the way, this guy's name in Japan is Sun God. Alright, bring it on. Okay, thank you. I was going to do that anyway, but still.
What? You fool! How dare you attack the great and mighty Dr. Wily?
Okay,
I'm just gonna go this way. You two battle it out.
You are Megaman. I am Sunstar, the Doomsday Weapon. I must destroy all inferior life forms.
Love this final boss tune. True final boss is Sunstar, and he's actually pretty tricky. He has a lot of attack patterns. In fact, he's split into 3 phases. First phase fires a giant laser at you, but you can dodge actually pretty easily because this is a low gravity area. Every third of his health, he'll shoot a fireball which will melt the ground, which can still damage you, by the way, as you just saw, which will lead into the next phase. Phase 2 is a lot of small energy bursts that you have to jump over, and Phase 3 is a lot of him rolling around like punk. He's weak against the Spark Chaser, because it just does the most damage to him overall. But honestly, he's not that hard of a final boss, but he does have his own Mega Man and base bio, so I'll get into that soon. Not right now, because this fight's more important, but the way this attack works is that he'll always end up on the opposite side of where he's rolling from. It's honestly the easiest phase. But I'll get into his Mega Man and base bio during the credits. Oh god, this is close, this is close. There we go. Are you okay? Here, grab my shoulder. I'm sure you can be fixed at Dr. Light's lab.
Megaman, why? Why are you helping me?
Because we're both robots.
Yes, and we were both created to fight.
No, you're wrong. I only fight when I'm forced to. Protect the world from those who would pit machines against humans. I believe humans and robots can live in peace.
Maybe, but I will never know. My fusion reactor is going critical, and when it does, it will destroy this entire fortress.
Sunstar.
Leave now!
Getting odd flashbacks to King. Huh. Okay, another Starship escape sequence. Thankfully, this time it's pretty easy because all Mega Man has to do is call Russian, and we are out of here. Too bad about Sunstar, though. He could have been really cool. In fact, I really like the designs of the Stardroids. I can say that for a fact. Either way, let's get out of here. You have no idea how tempted I was to put in a Star Wars clip there, but I resisted. And there it goes. That's actually a really big explosion. Mind you, it technically shouldn't explode in space. The moment that there's a breach, it should just kind of flow out. Because the Death Star explosion is not how it would physically work. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Mega Man World 5. But before I get into the game itself and the series, let's talk about Sunstar's Mega Man and base bio. Sunstar, an ancient robot excavated from mysterious ruins. He has started a war to rule the universe. Had. Good point, he's high-spirited. Bad point, he was fretful on waking. Likes brushing his teeth. What? And dislikes keeping late hours. Anyway, with that out of the way, as for Mega Man World 5, I like Mega Man World 3 more. But this is still a fantastic Mega Man game, and honestly, it's probably the best out of the games, because it's the most original, but I like Mega Man World 3 a bit more, because they feel a bit more like Mega Man games to me. Or at least like the NES games, because this game feels a bit different too than Mega Arm and stuff. But I still think it's a solid game on its own. And they fixed a lot of the issues I had, because the bosses feel properly sized to the arenas, and the stages themselves feel like they're properly scaled as well. Plus, it actually has a story of some sort. And as for the Mega Man World games as a whole, they are hit or miss. Well, first off, this is also available on the Game Boy or the 3DS Virtual Console. Anyways, I was saying, the Mega Man World games feel a bit scattered. Like, 1 is alright, 2 is alright, 3 and 4 are really good, and this one, in my eyes, is good, but not as good. If you want my honest recommendations, skip 1 and 2 and go right to 3 through 5. What the? Oh, you're still alive, are you? I don't know how the hell you got out of that and got back here so quickly. Wily! You survived?
Curse you, Mega Man! This war ends now!
Oh yeah, it looks like it does. Yeah, the war's definitely over, because you're mine.
Get on your knees and pray for your life.
Ah, no, you're just gonna... Well, actually, yeah, I guess that's what you're doing, isn't it? I actually forgot he did that motion in this game. Though we actually get a bit of a weird Wily Wars flashback here. Well, flash forward, because Wily Wars came out after this. Because he runs like a little bitch. Get back here, Wily! But yeah, as I was saying before that cutscene interrupted, the Mega Man World Series, hit or miss. Skip 1 and 2, go right to 3 through 5. They're the best ones. And if you're curious, go back to 1 and 2 after that. But with that, next up, ladies and gentlemen, we're finally heading back to the Mega Man X series with X5. So look forward to that. But with that, though, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching this romp through 5 games in about 10 parts, not even. And I'll see you guys in Mega Man X5. See you guys then.